Hi, I'm Scott Hyam from Pendragon, and you're watching Live Prague.
For all we know, this is the album you just heard the first track of. And the first track was called Blind Me. Now, when I first heard this song, I can tell you I was hooked immediately. And this was only the tip of the iceberg of all the beautiful songs to come on this great album. Now, this album is by For All We Know. And For All We Know is the project of Ruud Jolie, the guitarist of Within Temptation. Now, as Ruud is not one of the composers of Within Temptation, the one thing he really wanted was to have music of his own, music that he composed and he recorded. Well, here we have it. He did it. And he did a great job on this one, because this is a fucking awesome album. Sorry for the language, but that's just the way it is. You just heard the first track, and well, as I said, I was hooked on that one when I heard it. I loved the melody, I loved the guitar line in there. Interestingly enough, the music of that song was composed by Woodstick, who is the principal vocalist on this album. The lyrics, of course, by Ruud Jolie. Well, the rest of the music on this album is written by Ruud Jolie. Now, it is an amazing album, definitely. I was, well, of course, really interested in hearing the music. If you've seen the interview on liveprog.com with Ruud Jolie and Woodstick, you know a little bit more about the background of this project, or, well, band. They're not certain if it's a project or a band, but one thing I am certain of is that this is an amazing album. It's definitely fan-fucking-tastic. Again, sorry for the language, but well, I just love this album. And the one thing that I like specifically about it is the way Ruud Jolie handled it. Because, well, he of course surrounded himself by some friends and some really great musicians. He had an amazing singer, Woodstick. I heard of him first on the last Arian album, where he sang a song, and which was interesting because of course he has a bit of a hip-hop background, and he turns out to be one hell of a great rock singer. Now, Ruud also invited some other friends as guest singers. Fortunately, he put them all in one song, so that's nice, because I kind of like Woodstick singing the songs. You know, the album doesn't need loads of vocals. Woodstick is perfect for this album. The vibe that he gets, the working together with Ruud, just resulted in a beautiful album. One of the other things I really appreciate about this album, and I have to say really kudos to Ruud for pulling that off, is, as I said, Ruud is the guitar player. And well, often you can think, well, if a guitar player goes and make an album of his own, it's loaded with guitars and it's dominating everything. Well, not in the case of For All We Know, because Ruud made a very balanced album. It's all about the song. There are some really good guitar parts in them, some softer parts, some really heavy parts, but it's all balanced, it's never dominating, and he made a good mixture of all the instruments, of all the vocals, to create an album that is really a pleasure to listen to. And speaking of a pleasure to listen to, check out this next track on the album, which is actually the second track, and it's one of my favorites, and this one is called Busy Being Somebody Else.
we're so alone.
If you saw the interview on liveprog.com, you could have heard bits and pieces of Woodstick singing, well, without any effects whatsoever, completely 100% natural. Combine it with what you hear on the tracks that I played you, and you get the idea how good a singer Woodstick is. And I am so happy that he worked together with Ruud on this album, because I was surprised, and it was a lot of fun to have a chat with him as well and get to know him a little better. And it turns out that despite the fact that he is, or was, a hip-hop artist, he has a very deep love for especially progressive metal. He mentions James LaBrie as one of his favorite vocalists, but also Daniel Gildenlow from Pain of Salvation. And that's the vibe I got from the very first track, and well, you can pick up that vibe along the album as well, because of course, well, that's definitely an inspiration to him. And if you can hear how he uses his voice on the music, it is just amazing. And I can't be too more happy to have him as lead vocalist on this album. Now, of course, Ruud has been very busy. This is not the only thing he did. He worked with a lot of people. He worked with Anneke van Giersbergen on an album. He worked with Richard West from Threshold on the League of Lights album, which recently was released. He worked a lot with Damien Wilson. They recorded a great show at the Boerderij in Zoetermeer, the Damien Wilson Band, which is on DVD and which will also be featured on liveprog.com. He also worked with Damien on the Maiden United project. Within Temptation has a new album out and a big tour is coming up, but in the meantime he found the time to record and write this one, and well, I am so glad he did, and I hope that this will only be the beginning. I hope there will be more of these beautiful albums. And well, as I say, beautiful albums, beautiful music, I love it very much. So let's move on to more music, because well, that's what you want, of course. And well, this is also a great song, and they're all great songs, so it's starting to sound like a cliche, but trust me, I mean it. It comes from the heart. I definitely love this one, and this song is called Down on My Knees. Well, I have been rambling on a bit about how great this album is and what a beautiful vocalist Woodstick is and what a great guitar player Ruud is. Well, I think we know it by now, don't you? I mean, I played a couple of great songs and I really hope you like them, and I hope you love this album as much as I do. Now, if there is a chance to see For All We Know live, please, please take it. Go and see them, because, well, Ruud is a very busy man, of course. Within Temptation is going to be on tour soon, so if you have the chance, don't miss it. Now, well, let's take a look at the rest of the band, because of course it's not just Ruud and Woodstick. No. He has a couple of other well, friends and amazing musicians invited to play on this album. So to make this a really great and solid piece of work. Now, we have some more of the CD with, oh, very nice, the autograph from Ruud. Thank you very much for that. Now, I'm going to take out the booklet and then I'll see some more artwork. I hope you can see it. Yeah, some more beautiful artwork on the album. Beautiful lyrics as well. It's really interesting to read the lyrics. Now, let's just take a moment to look at the band because, well, he gathered around him not the least of musicians. Of course, Ruud on guitars, Woodstock on vocals. Well, I think I've said that quite enough, so just in case you don't know it. On bass, a very familiar name, Christopher Gildenlow. Again, also part of the Damien Wilson band, so, well, they all have worked with each other on other projects as well. And they're obviously friends, and, well, they play together and they make magically great music. Leon Margaret on drums, Thijs Grijnemakers on Hammond, Marco Kuipers on piano, Rhodes and harmonium. And then the guest musicians, which is quite a list, but mind you that a lot of them play in just one song, and that song is less than 2 minutes, so he put them all together, and yet it doesn't have the crowded idea. Daniel Gildenlow, Pain of Salvation, Christopher Gildenlow, of course, formerly from Pain of Salvation. Sharon den Adel from Within Temptation, well, it's no surprise she's in there. Damien Wilson, again, not a surprise he's there. Ruud Houweling, he also sang on one of the first Arion albums, another interesting link. Anke Dekkers, Tom Sikkers, those are the vocalists who sing on the song Keep Breathing. Now, very interesting to see how he managed to squeeze all these people in one short song without that you get the impression that it's loaded. Then John Wesley on guitar, guest guitar parts, on the song I Lost Myself Today. So, well, of course, John Wesley, known from being the live member of Porcupine Tree for the concerts. And we have Richie Faulkner. He also plays some guitar on Busy Being Somebody Else. Richie Faulkner comes from Lauren Harris band. If you don't know who Lauren Harris is, think of Steve Harris, the bass player and main man of Iron Maiden. So, well, interesting that he's on this album as well, and he plays some good heavy guitars there. And last but not least, Camilla van der Kooi, who plays beautiful violin. You hear that on the album, and, well, it's a really stunning album, I can tell you. But let's move on to a bit more music. Tired and Shamed, with some heavy guitars in it.
But again, I look down and walk away, tired and ashamed. Fight your way through history. Guide me to what you wanted me to see.
Well, there would be a lot more songs that I would like to play you, but of course we like to keep, well, the time limits not too long, you know. Nevertheless, I used 5 songs because I really wanted you to hear a good impression, to get a good impression of this album. For All We Know, Ruud Joly's solo project. Beautiful album. It has a lot of soft sides, it has a lot of heavy sides. It's a very it's a very balanced album. It's a beautiful album to listen to. I can't stress that enough. This album, well, I've played it, well, I almost wore out my CD in playing this one, and definitely recommend it. This is, well, I'd say this album is basically a must-have. I think everyone who says I like music should have a copy of this album. Definitely. Please listen to it. Well, what more can I say? The music speaks for itself, I hope. I hope I haven't been rambling on too much, but I am really excited about this album. So, well, I better shut up and let you listen to the last piece of music. The last piece of music is the last song of the album, and it is again such a beautiful song. This one is called Nothing More. Enjoy For All We Know, and I hope to see you at another review on Live Prague.